Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. Join award-winning host Dale Davidson as he interviews the most remarkable people you'll find in the entertainment capital of the world. You'll meet entertainers, sports figures, newsmakers, community and business leaders, and people just like you with stories that'll touch your heart. Now, here's Dale Davidson.
Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. Each and every week we bring you fascinating, interesting guests. This guy is so fascinating and interesting. He's making a return trip to the show. He's been a great friend of the show. He's from Las Vegas originally, lived a lot of years here. Now he's in Los Angeles. Ladies and gentlemen, Pete Allman.
How are you, Dale?
I'm good. AKA Donald Trump.
I'm a deal maker. We make deals. Everything's great, huge, absolutely huge. And Dale,
Yes.
We're going to do great things. I mean, the State of the Union address last night, Nancy was smirking while I was talking and doing all these fantastic things. I mean, look we've got great jobs, more women in Congress than ever before. I've done some great things, absolutely fantastic.
You got it, Cold. Are you doing much impersonation work of him? Because you got the look, you got the voice down, you got the gestures down, but you get a lot of competition right now, of course. Other people doing them.
Yes, there's about 10 comics that are doing Trump, and of course Alex Baldwin, and of course John D'Amico. And but my thing is to promote peace, as you know.
I do know.
And when I talk about peace, notice I keep putting my hair back because I don't use a lot of hair
Hairspray,
products for my hair.
Yeah.
It's my real hair, guys. It really is.
Just like Trump claims.
Yeah.
And it is, I think.
No, he has his real hair. He
Yeah.
combs
But
from the back.
He does. Yeah.
But on a serious note here, I think that things are going to get better. And when I say things are going to get better, Dale, I think that we need to be aware more than ever before that peace starts within ourselves by our relationship with God. Yes. But if young people would be more informed as to how dangerous things are right now with nuclear weapons, and 9 countries have those nuclear weapons, then they would be more aware. And if they would learn how to diffuse their frustration, their anger.
Yes.
And we all have our frustrations, even road rage. I say that if you meditate through God, yoga, nature walks, and exercise, that when you diffuse your anger and your frustrations, then you're more level-headed, and you can learn to be more compassionate and more understanding to your fellow human being, if you will.
Yeah.
And we need to do that more than ever right now, because too many people are chasing the buck, and with their jobs and moving up in their jobs, and because they're doing that, they really are making that their God, as opposed to God being number one.
Yeah, I understand. And we're not to put any idols before the Lord.
Correct.
Clearly one of his commandments, number one. But people do that and make the dollar the almighty dollar, as they call it, and just really overdo the career,
In the White House, we have Paula White, and ministry comes around in the Oval Office and
pray for him.
They pray.
Yeah.
And I think that, as I said before, as Trump said before, that if everybody read the Bible and understood it, that our society would be more level, more balanced. We wouldn't have so much hate going around.
Yeah. I think that's
And,
true.
talking about safety and understanding, and I'll use this as an example. When I go to a restaurant like my mother's house Italian restaurant, which belongs to Laura Raspoli and Michael Leonetti, who's a chef.
Michael's been on the show.
Yeah. What's good about that is people are getting along. They're happy. People that have birthdays, people come together in camaraderie.
Yeah.
And And that's what the world should be like. And
Sure.
and this is one of the few places, it's the Top Supper Club in Nevada that does that.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that if the churches, for one, would implement something like that and go out and help these homeless people,
Right.
and the government would pitch in and build housing, you know, things would be much, much better. Absolutely. And we need to take care of our homeless situation now. Not just in Nevada, not just in Los Angeles, San Francisco, where it's really bad, but all over the United States. We need to make those improvements. And we're looking to other people in other countries as a third world country. When you see these people sleeping on the streets in Hollywood, along Sunset, it's not good at all.
Yeah, I know.
There needs to be change, and there is going to be a change. How fast that change is going to happen, not sure at particular point right now, but there will be a change.
Well, as Jesus says in the Bible, as you do unto the least of these, you do unto me, and we certainly haven't done a very good job of that. Tell me about your interest in world peace. I know you have a proposed program to put in the schools. How did you come about caring about that as your number one project?
Interesting point, Dale. There's a friend of mine named Alex Azen. And Alex is from the Soviet Union, and he escaped from there around 39 years ago with his family. He was very fortunate to have fake papers and get out of Soviet Union at that time, you know, Russia. And he graduated with a master's degree in transportation at Maritime College in New York. And he was always a musician and always admired John Lennon and whatnot. So he put together a concert at Carnegie Hall. It's called Winds of Freedom, which was a tribute to the human spirit.
Oh, okay.
And that was a very good concert, and Emelian Shishkin was the composer. And with that concert, he made a DVD. Later on in years, then we put together, I've known him for 14 years, we put together a documentary that talks about man's quest from here to here over 100 years to accomplish peace. And we've never really been able to do that. But now, that doesn't mean it can't happen now.
Yes.
And I think, as I said before, peace starts within each one of us. That's a good start. But then education is very important, especially for our younger generation, so that as they grow and as they become adults, they have a better understanding of how important it is for people to communicate, for people to have compassion towards each other. And by having compassion and understanding towards each other, and at the same time, you forgive your enemies. You don't do business with them, but you forgive them. And that's the hardest thing to do, because if we try to exemplify ourselves like Jesus Christ, and we're disciples, and we're spreading the joy of knowing Jesus and trying to be like him.
Yes.
We could never be perfect like he was, but that's what we strive for, because basically mankind is selfish by nature. So that's why it's good to be able to be around Bible study, have like-minded people to help you, because if you're by yourself, it's so easy to be tempted into the negative situations in life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, as Christians, and both of us are, we see that as a potential solution. Obviously, the entire world is not Christian. About half of it is.
Yes.
And if people subscribe to the genuine sayings of our Lord Jesus Christ, and really believe in peace and turning the other cheek, we would have peace. But we can't seem to bring that into practice.
I do believe, deep in my heart, that within the United States and other countries there will be peace. There's always going to be conflict. We understand that. It's been throughout history. But that doesn't mean most of the universe, or at least certainly on planet Earth here, that there can't be peace.
Right.
And so, as I said, education will help, and people learning to take time out to diffuse their frustrations and anger through exercise or meditation, yoga, or nature walks.
There you go.
If you look at flowers, flowers are so beautiful, you know.
Yeah,
and they
sure.
uplift your spirit, the different
Yeah.
colors of the flower.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
By the way, there's Mel Gibson. They want me to do a film on Timor the Great, which is the great conqueror of central China. And they wanted me to get Mel Gibson to produce it. But he's doing another Passion of the Christ.
Yeah. Part
And
2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be great. And he's a marvelous director and actor. I admire him. Not necessarily all the people that work for him, because I was at his office and trying to get up to his office to leave some information. And the lady she wouldn't even let me upstairs, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But Mel is a good guy. And he's been through his tribulations. But people like that, you know, they really know how to present a film. And I believe the films, especially faith-based films, will lead people to Christ, if you will.
That's a funny thing that you bring up. You know, I've been involved with Media Fellowship International, MFI, for years, and that's their charge, is to try to change Hollywood by changing the people in it, either to bring those who are working in Hollywood to Christ, or to provide scholarships and so on for kids in order for them to grow up in Hollywood and try to change the culture. Faith-based films are having difficulty at the box office often. What do you think the solution is to that?
Faith-based films, depending on how heavy they are making a lot of money.
Some are, yeah.
Yeah, some are. And I think that a good film that has a good storyline, good celebrities, and that moves will do well, whether it's faith-based or not.
Yeah.
There's companies out there that Pureflex is one of them that's doing very well.
Yes.
With faith-based films. So
Yeah.
I think that that's very important. As you know, I produced a bunch of films for Damien Chapa, who was known from Blood In and Blood Out. And those films, they have messages. And I think that God uses people, even people that are not perfect.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I believe he actually put
That'd be all of us.
President Trump's in office.
Yes.
I think he put him there, and he's made some changes, and he should be given credit.
Yeah.
Yes, he's narcissistic, but look it. He's doing some great things. Give him credit for those things, and his heart's in the right place.
Seems to be.
Donald's just always used to doing things himself, and that's why he's not so much used to taking suggestions and collaboration.
Yeah. He's really not. And any CEO type is going to have that difficulty, because what he says is law in the world of corporations, but in politics, not so much.
No.
You know.
And he's not a politician. He's a businessman.
Yeah.
And that's what we needed in America.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're going to take a brief break and sell a little bit of soap on the network, or whatever it is we're selling today. And when we come back, I want to talk about the specifics of your program in schools and how you think that's going to bring about peace in the world. Because I think it's a fascinating thing that you're trying to do, and then discuss whether or not you think it's possible, considering the politics of schools and what goes on in the public school system. We'll be back right after these messages.
A potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. Or donate to the ministry, or order Dale's book by going to vegassaints.org. That's vegassaints.org. Or call us today at 702-480-3989. That's 480-3989. God bless you.
Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. I hope you're enjoying Las Vegas tonight. The guests we've had on the program are wonderful examples of Christians who take seriously Christ's command to love one another. In addition to the hundreds of television stations across the United States now carrying our show, we have been presented with the outstanding opportunity to bring these inspiring stories to people around the world. An international satellite network in the Russian and Ukrainian languages has asked us to provide them with episodes to be broadcast to millions. To make a gift to support this very special effort, please send your check or money order to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To use your credit or debit card, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you.
Drawn by the lights, glamour, and opportunities in Sin City, they come from all over the world, searching for their chance to be a pretty woman, a success, or maybe just to have a better life. Be somebody. What happened after they got here is literally changing the world. From the story of Tommy Scott, a former gang enforcer turned Christian evangelist, to the Hookers for Jesus Outreach Ministry, to the heart-wrenching story of Arturo Martinez and his heroic act of forgiving the man who assaulted and murdered his wife and 10-year-old daughter. Las Vegas Tonight presents an extraordinary depiction of Las Vegas as a city of transformation, from Sin City to Vegas Saints. Las Vegas Tonight, from Sin City to Vegas Saints, a collection of true stories of transformation, people whose lives were transformed, and people who are now transforming the world.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. We're so pleased to have in studio today Pete Allman. Pete is an actor, he's a director, he's a producer, he's a Donald Trump impersonator, and first and foremost, he's a great Christian man who's interested in peace, and how can we be against that? Tell me a little bit about your Winds of Freedom project and what you intend to do in the schools. Because I absolutely believe you're right. The younger we can get kids thinking about peace, the better. So what's the plan here?
The plan is to take a 20-minute piece of that documentary and have the history teachers show it,
right,
and have the kids report on what they observed on the documentary. The documentary covers the history of different things that have happened throughout the history of the world on the various wars. And it covers Martin Luther King. It covers John Kennedy and what he had to say. It covers the Challenger. Mm-hmm. It covers the wars in Syria and in Russia and India. Mm-hmm. It's a historical piece of information. It's very educational, that really teaches young people and people in general about what the world's gone through in the tribulations. And it started in the Bible from the beginning of the scriptures with the Catholic Church and Protestant Church. There was always, violence to speak of. So this picks it up from that point on, World War I and so forth.
Yes.
And so with an understanding of what's going on and what has gone on throughout over 100 years, if you have a better understanding and then know what's expected in the 21st century mm-hmm. and how one nuclear weapon could destroy the world, well then at that point, people would think a little bit more, and especially mm-hmm. those that have children think about the future of their children. Mm-hmm. And so it educates the young people, but it educates adults. Mm-hmm. The awareness level goes up, and therefore, if the awareness level goes up, people will be more responsible on learning how to get along with each other, despite their differences, their cultures. Doesn't matter, just to get along. And the hardest part is the Middle East with the Taliban, the terrorists.
Yeah,
That's
ISIS.
But we've done some terrific things there, where we've shallowed it down, and they have less land now, to create more of a safety pattern over there. So when I say we're taking the troops out, it's time to take them out of Syria.
Yeah. So you agree with the president on
Yes.
that? Yeah. Not everybody does, including some of his military commanders. But I think whenever we can pull Americans out of harm's way safely and not leave behind a mess, the better.
Well, another thing that we're doing is we're building bridges, we're building businesses over there, and we need to take some of that money and we need to implement it here in this country,
Right.
in the United States. Take care of home first before you go out and help everybody. We know that we're everybody's big brother, so to speak.
Sure.
We understand that, but I think that we need to concentrate on that. And sure, we have to have troops in various parts of the world, and we have to protect our allies. Those things are very important.
Yes.
But it's unfortunate, but economy has always worked well with wars.
Yeah.
And naturally, the corporations that make the weapons of mass destruction and whatnot, they want to keep doing that because they make a lot of money. It's great for the economy. But there has to be another path, because you can't just keep going in that direction. It makes things more drastic in the form of not having safety. One push of a button can destroy the whole world.
Yeah. And the 20th century was the bloodiest century in the history of mankind, all around the world. And the students of today have no background in the danger of nuclear warfare. When you and I were kids, we grew up with civil defense alarms and movies about communist menace and the Cuban Missile Crisis and things like that, which kept it on the front burner, the front of awareness, the front of mind awareness. But not so much today. And so that's what you're trying to do. Does it scare the kids? Is that part of it? Do you want to scare them a little bit?
It actually shocks them.
Yeah.
When they're not on their cell phone in the classroom.
Yeah.
And that's another problem in our society today. The teacher's there, you're here, and the kid's on his cell phone.
Yeah.
And some of them walk out of class if the teacher says put it away. And the cell phones has actually overtaken our society.
Yeah.
So it has to be a balance, and that has to do with how the parent brings up the child, not to give in and just have them get a phone.
Sure.
I mean, social networking is important. We've progressed, but we've digressed in other areas too. We've digressed in not having family values anymore. We've digressed in not having prayer in schools. Those important factors to keep a balance.
I agree.
And to keep ethics.
To that.
Yeah.
Amen to that. What's standing in the way? We talked before the break a little bit about how you might cover that, but you're running into some opposition from the school districts and so on. What's the basis of, how can you be against it? But anyway, what are you running into?
Well, as you know, our educational system could be improved dramatically, whether it's in Nevada or Los Angeles or other places in the United States. And what we have to look at here is that teachers aren't being paid enough, and those that have been in school for a long time, they have so much time to cover a topic.
Right.
And with the situation with history professors, they've got to cover this topic in a 4-month period.
Right.
So the problem there is whether if they're liberal or they're conservative, if they're really going to understand the documentary to play it for the children. It could be we have a 20-minute and a 45-minute. Play the 20-minute one, and then have the students report on it.
Right.
and then they get graded on it.
Yeah.
And I don't have the time to go to each school. I've sent something to the White House, but I don't think that President Trump got it. I think the Department of Education, the head of that, I don't know that person's name, we really need to deal with him.
Right.
We've dealt with Henry Lozano, who's in charge of faith ministries somewhat, through the president, and he's been so busy he hasn't returned my call. So there's so much controversy going on in Washington that it's hard to get anything accomplished with something like this.
Okay, yeah. So it's really from the top. It's not individual schools or school districts. You're trying to get an overall umbrella approach to this particular thing.
And do it all over the United States, all over the world.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, this documentary certainly would be good for everyone to watch. And when people watch it, all they can say is wow, or just fantastic, because the music is so beautiful.
Yes.
And then when you combine that with the peaceful area, and then showing the wars, and then showing at the end where John Lennon says, give peace a chance.
Wow.
There's a real strong message there, and showing the Olympics. And really, it's a very educational piece going over 100 years of man's quest to achieve peace. So it's a very important factor. And to me, that's my mission now. My mission is to promote peace the best way I know how, and it's hard to do it when you're just by yourself.
Yeah.
And my partner Alex Hazen is a business broker, so we need to raise some money, get a philanthropist involved. We have some celebrities, but we need some bigger stars to raise more money so that we can do more things like that. And I think I mentioned to you before that in addition to try to get this in the schools, there's concerts, there's parks. If we had a vehicle retrofitted with LCD screens, we could go to concerts prior to the groups opening up and reach people that way also.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I think any exposure to this documentary would be good, not only for children but adults. Many adults, Gen Xers, for example, who are now in their 40s, they had no exposure to what you and I were talking about with the Cold War, and so it's kind of a distant danger to them. It's like this is not a reality. But as we have seen, Russia is talking about dusting off their strategic missiles. In countering that argument, our defense people are saying, well, maybe we could bring out this idea of battlefield nuclear weapons, smaller nuclear weapons again. But once that starts, it's a slippery slope. And the next thing you know, we're trading missile launches. With all of the treaties that we do have for reduction, SALT treaties and so on, it's still, there's a lot of missiles on both sides.
There are.
Kim
Jong-un will be meeting with President Trump.
Right, I know. Yeah.
And that's going to be an important meeting of the minds, if you will. And I think that we want the facts.
Sure.
And it's very hard to get the facts with the news media here in the United States.
Oh boy, that's the truth. Yeah.
But if you check the Russian press out and other press overseas, it's much more accurate, independent reporters, than what we see today. I like Fox, but they're opinionated at times too.
Yeah, sure they are.
But that's something that we have to drastically look at. Think about people that align with what we're talking about.
Yes.
And those people, wherever you are, whether you're in Vietnam or Europe, wherever the show goes, maybe you'd like to do something. We're on this planet not just to work and enjoy life, but actually to spread the gospel. We're disciples of Christ. If you believe in Jesus Christ as your Savior, and you believe that He's the Son of God, and we're made in the image of God, then I think that we should all work together. And if you want to do something with this film, this documentary and show it to your class or show it to your church, to the people in church, whatever, you can contact us. We have a number that will be on the screen there.
Yeah, let me talk about how to get in touch with Pete Allman. First, his telephone number is 702-265-9099, 702-265-9099. CelebrityScene.com is one of his websites, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And also windsoffreedom.org. Windsoffreedom.org is the website for this initiative and about the documentary. So we'll put all that information up on the screen, and people can get in touch with you.
Now must be our moment for action.
20th century becomes century of violence. Now this century, 21st century, should be century of dialogue in order to develop peaceful century. Our future is hopeful.
But I'm certainly suspicious of it because I know the problems of the world are the problems of the human spirit. The world can be changed, and that you must change too.
This song is called No Guns Allowed. Put Drake on the song and my daughter, shoot a video showing all of this violence with guns. It makes the awareness level go up to where people will start to say, he cares, so we should care.
That there is no enduring peace without justice.
So we're saying give peace a chance.
A potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. Or donate to the ministry, or order Dale's book by going to vegassaints.org. That's vegassaints.org. Or call us today at 702-480-3989. That's 480-3989. God bless you. Drawn by the lights, glamour, and opportunities in Sin City, they come from all over the world, searching for their chance to be a pretty woman, a success, or maybe just to have a better life. Be somebody. What happened after they got here is literally changing the world. From the story of Tommy Scott, a former gang enforcer turned Christian evangelist, to the Hookers for Jesus Outreach Ministry, to the heart-wrenching story of Arturo Martinez and his heroic act of forgiving the man who assaulted and murdered his wife and 10-year-old daughter. Las Vegas Tonight presents an extraordinary depiction of Las Vegas as a city of transformation, from Sin City to Vegas Saints. Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints, a collection of true stories of transformation, people whose lives were transformed, and people who are now transforming the world.
Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. I hope you're enjoying Las Vegas Tonight. The guests we've had on the program are wonderful examples of Christians who take seriously Christ's command to love one another. In addition to the hundreds of television stations across the United States now carrying our show, we have been presented with the outstanding opportunity to bring these inspiring stories to people around the world. An international satellite network in the Russian and Ukrainian languages has asked us to provide them with episodes to be broadcast to millions. To make a gift to support this very special effort, please send your check or money order to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To use your credit or debit card, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you. And welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson, and we have an advocate of peace who is doing something about world peace, Pete Allman. Boy, that was a terrific sizzle reel. I love that clip, and the music's just delightful.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to watching the whole thing. We've talked about Christ a little bit. Let's expand on your personal faith, if you don't mind. Tell us a little bit about your walk and really how you came to Christ.
Mm-hmm. Well, I come from a family that had a business. They had a supermarket, and my father and mother were always working in the supermarket. So we didn't, the business interfered with the family life. But we go to church on Sundays, sometimes with my mother, sometimes with the whole family. And I never really had the Holy Spirit or God in my life. I just go in because he wanted me to go to church.
Right.
Protestant, Episcopal, at that particular time. Going to catechism. Later on in years, when I went to New York City and I was going to acting school after my father died in 1966, I believe it was, and at that time my mother and father were divorced, I was kind of a lost soul, you might say. There's so many of us searching for something that's going to add to our life, that's going to make us happy, balance our lives. And so what happened was I didn't stay long in New York City. I was going to acting school, and I moved to California. I started singing in the gospel choir in Watts, of all places. I almost got killed there in Watts. But I really came to the Lord later on in years through Calvary Chapel, through Chuck Smith, and as I was going to college down in Orange Coast Community College. And it really hit me when I started 6 years ago when I was going to Bel Air Church.
Oh, okay.
Where President Reagan and Nancy went before they passed away. And the Holy Spirit, and to explain the Holy Spirit, because, you know, I do my show in L.A., all I can say is tears of joy. There's something that happens inside you.
It's wonderful, yeah.
And it is wonderful. And so Bel Air has been my foothold of going to classes there and doing Bible study with a friend of mine named Tom Turpin, who is president of the church and whatnot. And then, of course, I was on another show, Wendy Lynn Adams and her husband Dave, and through that show, I was asked to do a show on Open Door Communications Network, which is owned by Bishop Ogamba, who has a bunch of churches around the world.
Yeah.
And they asked me to do a show. And so I got the Holy Ghost when I go to All Nations Church down there. Something happens to me there. So that's the best way that I can explain how God came into my life. I knew that God was real when I totaled out 3 cars and never got a scratch.
Wow.
And so that wouldn't be a coincidence. That would be, God.
So you felt he had a plan for your life and it wasn't time.
Right.
For you
Now,
to
I
leave.
don't speak in tongues yet. And there's so much I need to understand about that. But what I can tell the folks out there is that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And you can do the same thing. And it's about having patience. It's about having understanding and compassion. And, when you read in the Bible, and I don't know what section of the Bible this is, but for 40 years, it's just mind-boggling. You can't analyze it. You just have to accept it. Faith is, I always say, the substance which you can't see, but you know it works. You know a radio works. You don't see the electricity. You know God works. just because you can't see him like I'm seeing Dale right now doesn't mean that he's not real. He is real, and we're in his likeness. And so with that thought, I know that I'm a vessel and that I'm a disciple of God. So my job is to be compassionate, be understanding, and interview people that have gone through turmoil in their life and how God has helped them get out of their turmoil, and which is mainly celebrities, sports personalities, and people that even died on the operating table and talked about what heaven was like, and it came back to life. So that's my mission now. And so that and the fact that you're promoting peace is a very important thing. I mean, we're on the planet to do something, not just vegetate, but to do something. You know, whether it's we're working at a job, we're doing what we do, but people are searching and say, well, what else? Why am I here?
Yeah, sure.
We're here because we're disciples of God, number one. And our job is to share the joy that we have in our lives with other people so that they have joy, so that they're not searching. Because so many people think, and from the beginning of time, from the Roman Empire, you know, people had, you know, other images of God rather than God himself.
Yes, yes.
And so you can't let money be your God. God comes first, and you can have a, you know, it's not a sin to have a beautiful home worth $2 or $3 million, but let's balance it out. Now there is a point though when you, if you're a minister, and you're taking money from the congregation and you're buying a jet, now that doesn't set well with me, you know. But if you're taking money and buying a jet with your own money from your books and things, that's another thing. I think that a lot of people get turned off from religion because they see what's happening with these evangelists and what they're doing with the money. But it's not the religion. It's your relationship with God. You don't need a priest. You don't need anybody. You just talk to God. You just talk to God, communicate with God, and then he works through other people to come into your life to help you with your walk. Because if you're by yourself, temptation's always going to come into your life, and that's what makes it hard. Whether it's going to a bar and drinking, going to a gentleman's club and being on the dark side of life, these are not healthy things. I know because I've been through it myself. And I don't do that anymore. It was a waste of energy and a waste of my money.
And time.
So I learned the hard way.
Yeah. That's really very interesting. And how old were you, essentially? This is fairly recent that really you've been infused with the Holy Spirit. Yeah. So I guess we want to communicate to people that it can happen at any time in your life. You know, I was in my 40s when I came to Christ. I wish I had done it earlier, but of course I didn't know. I didn't know better. And the Lord reaches out and touches us at different times for different reasons, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, and you know, you're a very well-known guy in Hollywood. You know, you have a television show. You've acted in a lot of things. You're a wonderful example of how the Lord can use someone, and you're using it really well, I think.
I was talking to Damien Chapa from Blood In and Blood Out, Miklo they call him, and sometimes you can have films that have a message that are not faith-based, but that will teach people certain things.
Yes.
And that film on Marlon Brando that I produced called Brando Unauthorized, for example, it shows you how unhappy Marlon Brando was and how his son killed sister's boyfriend and whatnot.
Right.
And it gives you an appreciation of having a good family life when you see what they went through.
Yeah.
Same thing with Killer Priest, which is the one world government that you hear people talking about, and how priests were pedophiles, and how the hitman in that particular movie, Killer Priest, we're talking about, killed the priest. There's something about that that's a strong message with the mind control and things of that nature. And then right now, dealing with the drug situation between the Mexicans and the Asians in Vatos Locos is another situation that's going on right now. And not, even in our prison system, the Mexican cartel, they control the drugs. So it's a problem. So these films do create a message for people to see. But I think that there needs to be more family-type entertainment, especially for kids, when the parents let the kids see the various TV shows and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm about. That's why I'm doing this new film called Empty Dreams with Cy Richardson, which is a faith-based film.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
And basically, it's about 5 people that rob banks, and one's a Christian who never wanted to do it, and the other one's a woman. And in the end, each one dies except for the Christian and the woman that was disguised as a man. But it's much more deeper than that. But that's, just give you a touch of it to show how God can protect us, even though He may have us go through a lot of turmoil in our lives. In the end, we're protected.
Yeah, that's really interesting. In your personal walk, and the Bible says pray continually, which I always take to mean talk to God all day. If you have a question, just talk to Him. Is this the kind of thing that you personally do in your life, and would you recommend to other people that they maintain that kind of relationship with Christ?
Right. I don't think it's just about going to church.
Right.
I think it's about community. I think it's about spending time with your friends in church. Just don't go once a week. Be part of the community so that you have that strength and that buildup. And I think that when you're by yourself in your car, listen to beautiful music, listen to Christian songs, to keep like-minded with your mind in the proper context, if you will. And, while you're driving, you could talk to God, just like you're having a conversation with somebody. And you'd be surprised what will happen and how it will make you feel when you do that.
Yeah. I think we all have times of mental turmoil.
Yes.
Times where, we're upset or we're depressed. Depression, I believe, is the #1 illness in the country. So do you feel that God can help those kinds of problems as well? And if so, how do you do it?
I think that, first of all, if your faith is strong and you believe that God creates miracles, then your communication with God is one where you pray hard. Humble yourself, get on your knees and pray, which is I need to do more. Get on the knees and pray and ask God for your help, even when you're driving.
Yeah, sure.
To get you out of this depression. And, He works in different ways.
Sure.
He brings people into your lives. Things can happen. Somebody comes into your life and lifts your life up, and you're not depressed. But and I think that by reading Scripture and by going to the right Scriptures and knowing where to go, those Scriptures will help you get out of your depression.
Okay.
Because happiness, happiness when you know sadness.
Right.
When you think about it,
Sure.
You've been through tough times. It appreciates the good times. And of course, you just have to keep yourself in check. And that's why it's good to go to Bible study, and it's good to be around activities that are healthy and not the wrong activities, especially if you're weak-minded and you're by yourself and somebody says, hey, I'm going to be over at Joe's Cocktails. Come on and join me. Come on, have a drink, Have another drink. All of a sudden, you've had 4 or 5 drinks and you're not yourself.
Yes.
So,
right.
Do everything in moderation, and your life will be much better.
That's a good way to end. Believe it or not, an hour has ripped by. Pete, it's always been a pleasure to have you on the show. Whenever you're back in Vegas, please stop by.
I will. Maybe get that new movie out. We can screen that movie.
Oh, I'd like that. Like that. Thanks again for being.
Al.
Appreciate it so much. Pete Allman. And once again, you can reach Pete 702-265-9099. His personal business, if you will, Celebrity Scene, is celebrityscene.com. And the initiative, which I really like, it's called windsoffreedom.org, is that particular website. And if you're interested, if you're a teacher and you want to show it, if you're a youth group leader, if you are a pastor, a chaplain, anybody who's interested in helping bring about peace in the world, you can get in touch with Pete that way. God bless you all, and as I try to say each and every episode, the same thing when it comes to Jesus. Please walk with him.
From the story of Tommy Scott, a former gang enforcer turned Christian evangelist, to the Hookers for Jesus Outreach Ministry, to the heart-wrenching story of Arturo Martinez and his heroic act of forgiving the man who assaulted and murdered his wife and 10-year-old daughter. Las Vegas Tonight presents an extraordinary depiction of Las Vegas as a city of transformation, from Sin City to Vegas Saints. Las Vegas Tonight, from Sin City to Vegas Saints, a collection of true stories of transformation, people whose lives were transformed, and people who are now transforming the world.
Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. I hope you're enjoying Las Vegas Tonight. The guests we've had on the program are wonderful examples of Christians who take seriously Christ's command to love one another. In addition to the hundreds of television stations across the United States now carrying our show, we have been presented with the outstanding opportunity to bring these inspiring stories to people around the world. An international satellite network in the Russian and Ukrainian languages has asked us to provide them with episodes to be broadcast to millions. To make a gift to support this very special effort, please send your check or money order to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To use your credit or debit card, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you.
Potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. Or donate to the ministry, or order Dale's book by going to vegassaints.org. That's vegassaints.org. Or call us today at 702-480-3989. That's 480-3989. God bless you.
Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Las Vegas Tonight. Allow me to take just a few moments to let you know how you can learn more about some of the fascinating guests that I've interviewed. My new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints, is now available around the world. In it, I profile amazing people who make Las Vegas something much more than just a place to party. These compelling stories often tell of people who came to Las Vegas for reasons much different than the innovative ministries they ended up leading right here in Sin City. Take, for example, Tommy Scott, known as Hitman to his fellow members of an infamous gang in South Central Los Angeles. Tommy was serving time in a Las Vegas jail and contemplating suicide when a couple of pastors visited him in the lockup and led him to Christ. Tommy immediately began studying the Word and has become an on-fire evangelist and Christian author. Then there's Annie Meadows. Annie began life in a rural part of Kentucky, increasingly was fascinated with the occult, and eventually became a full-fledged witch. Rejecting anything having to do with God, she angrily vowed never to attend church or have anything at all to do with religion. Then, like Tommy, she had an encounter with the living Christ and now travels the world as a gospel singer and writes Christian children's books. Pastor Chris Chappell was an avowed atheist who also wanted nothing to do with the Lord. He was a successful businessman who felt he surely didn't need Jesus. His wife and father-in-law convinced him to attend church, and he felt a stirring that made him investigate the Bible's claims. Telling the Lord that he needed answers to his objections, he found those answers in a supernatural way, and is now leading a remarkable church, Casa de Luz, in what's called the Naked City, which is a neighborhood just off the famous Las Vegas Strip. This formerly crime-ridden area is now experiencing a remarkable turnaround, and his church is serving that community in amazing ways. Doc Jones traveled to Las Vegas from New York on a personal mission to make as much money as he could. A born entrepreneur, he started a photography business that specialized in taking pictures of groups of partiers at the hot nightclubs on the Strip. He then learned that by referring young guys to the city strip clubs, he could pick up lots of cash from the club's owners. That evolved into sending young women who were wannabe strippers to these so-called gentlemen's clubs, and then he managed their careers. Eventually, he felt so empty and despondent that he too thought seriously of suicide. Hearing a sermon about the prodigal son caused him to dedicate his life to Christ. Now an exceptional musician and composer of gospel rap, hip-hop, and spoken word genres, he is helping change Las Vegas from a place where sin abounds to a city where grace abounds more. Pastor Clegg Seth was an aspiring actor and screenwriter in Hollywood and a strong Christian who wanted to make a real difference for Christ in the entertainment world. But the Lord called him to establish a crisis hotline for runaway teens who were coming to Hollywood to pursue their silver screen dreams. He then started halfway houses for men and women with substance abuse and other problems. He also helped set up a similar men's home in Las Vegas. At one point, he developed a gambling habit, but the Lord delivered him from that problem, and he now devotes his life to sharing Christ with men in prison, serving seniors in a church setting, along with visits to nursing homes and hospitals. He has continued his quest to influence Hollywood through a ministry called the Christian Studio. I personally really look up to Clegg Seth as a model of how a Christian should live and serve others. He truly is one of the Vegas saints. Read these stories and more in this 226-page book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You can get your copy in several different ways. Go to my website, vegassaints.org, or order it on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. It's just $15.99 plus shipping. For more information or to make a donation to Dale Davidson Ministries that will help us keep this program on the air, please call 702-480-3989. Or you can write to us at Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. And thank you so much for watching Las Vegas Tonight.
You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with Dale Davidson. Send your tax-deductible gifts to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Or call 702-480-3989. Thanks for watching.